Welcome to the IEF Lecture Series. We're so glad that you're joining with us, and we pray that you'll be blessed as you receive from this teaching.
Okay, so tonight, God willing, I'm speaking on a very controversial issue, Jesus' crucifixion and destiny and the Quran. I'll start with a short introduction about the Quran. I think that most of you would be knowledgeable about it, but I'll just say the basic things that the Quran in Arabic, Quran has the very strong K, which means recitation actually in Arabic. And it is indeed the central religious scriptures of Islam. That's the first of many, but it is indeed the first and the most important religious book of Islam. A Muslim actually believe that God revealed it orally in Arabic through angel Gabriel to Muhammad incrementally, which is in Arabic, it's like stars falling like stars, one by one, verse by verse, part by part. And it was revealed to Muhammad over a period of 23 years. Now, 23 years is divided into two layers. One layer starts with 609 AD, when Muhammad was 40 and he was living in his hometown, Mecca. And at 622, he moved to Medina. That's where the Muslim calendar starts, 622 AD. And then for the last 10 years or almost 10, 11 years, he was living in Medina, the other town that actually welcomed him. Now, I state this because this is very important for us, for anyone who wants to understand Islam or to understand the Quran, to distinguish between these two layers. The first layer, based or revealed, as Muslims believe, in Mecca, his hometown, that is of spirit of more peaceful spirit. That was actually in his weakness time, when he was refused among his own native. Then from 622 to 632, that last period, second and last layer, actually he died there, is a Medinian, because it's called the Medina, where he immigrated to, and it's a militant voice. The scriptures, the verses that was revealed, actually reveal militant, refusing and condemning all the others, but in particular the Jews and the Christians. More of the Jews, but also the Christians. So the both were suffering in that second time. You can stop me between the slides and ask. I don't see you because I want to see the written PowerPoint. So maybe I'll make a pause in 10 minutes or so and see. If not, I'll just continue with that. But for this, to understand this introduction to the Quran, we have also to remember that the Quran contains 114 chapters. In Arabic, it's called Sura, and the singular is Sura. So they used to repeat it. So maybe you heard the word Sura, and it's the organization is roughly made according to the length of the chapters, from the longest to the shortest, not according to that two layers that I mentioned, the oldest to the newest, but according to the length of the chapters. And those chapters are also subdivided, as in the Bible, into verses, ayat in Arabic, and in the singular is ayah. Also, this part still speaking about the Quranic corpus that to understand, you have to know that it was composed in early form of classical Arabic, and in general, we can say that the whole Quran, but also I will mention that in the passages that I will refer to now. We can speak of the Quran as snapshots. There's no real narrative that goes all the way, but it's one thing here, one thing there, and I will explain that with the first or the second narrative that we will read. For instance, the verse can start, one verse can start with Jesus, and then it goes to John the Baptist, and then goes to Moses, without any understanding of chronology, and we will see that even in tonight. But it's very important to know that there's a lot of biblical figures mentioned in the Quran, and as funny as it sounds, Muhammad as a historical figure is mentioned 4 times, while Adam is mentioned about 20 times. Moses 135 times. So he the including Jesus 25 times with Moses, is the most mentioned figure in all the Quran. Now, if we look generally, the whole thing, the whole corpus is influenced by post-biblical rabbinic teaching and writing, mainly what we call the Talmudic and the other stuff, the other Jewish writing, especially the Midrash, that has a lot of stories in it, and the Quran imported a lot of the stories in from the Midrash, the Talmudic Midrash, which was combined and at about the 5th century AD. One thing also that really influenced the Quran is the Christian apocryphal text. We can read about Jesus like we were going to do today, but we will notice that it's not biblical narrative. Clearly, it is taken from Christian apocryphal text, mixed with rabbinics, mixed with common stories that can be noticed in different biblical figures, and as they deal with Abraham, that Dr. Phil shared with you, I think 3-4 months ago. You can see it, although he didn't mean to emphasize this, but it's clearly outside the Bible. There are we are going to speak about the figure of Jesus in the Quran, and the figure in generally, historically, I want just to mention for people who want to follow and read some of this stuff. But in general, Jesus was discussed largely throughout the 20th century, especially. People like scholars like Misha, Paringer, Rezanen are among several scholars who wrote books about Jesus and the Quran. Other researchers have devoted general articles on the image of Jesus and the Quran, like Bishop Zenisser and Al-Khatib. I had the privilege to write on Jesus and the post-Quranic writings on my PhD. which was I can show it to you later, which was published already in Hebrew in an academic publishing house, which I'm grateful also, and praying that one day it would be also in Arabic and in English. As I said, according to the Quran, Jesus is a renowned prophet, one of five very special prophet, not just prophet, but a special prophet, but not much more than a prophet. And I will explain that later. He is mentioned in 93 verses with various titles. The only one that really resembled the Christian title is Masih, which is Masih, Mashiach in Hebrew, Messiah. The rest are linked with other stuff like Isa's, derived from Isis, and leaving Yeshua toward inventing a word in Arabic that doesn't really mean a lot in that context. And of course, there is the son of Mary, and this is almost not mentioned in the Bible, but very much mentioned in the Quran. I guess something like 19 times. Yes, please. The next. Yeah. Now we get to the main theme tonight, and we speak about Jesus crucifixion. And Jesus crucifixion is mentioned briefly in the Quran, but because it means a lot in Christian eyes, it is one of the most controversial theological themes. That because in the Bible, in the New Testament, it is discussed largely and has a lot of scripture references. It is mentioned in some of the historians, but others may doubt it or refuse it or deny it in a way, in a special way, like as a Muslim do. We can say that the need of the crucifixion, the timing, the place, the method, and even the problematic and sensitive issue of identity of the crucifiers who did that were repeatedly, unceasingly discussed. Now, if we look to from our perspective first of all, we say according to the canonical Gospels, the Jewish leaders captured Jesus, condemned him according to the Torah, and then handed him over to the Roman procurator, Pontius Pilatus, following the judicial deliberation, condemned him to death by crucifixion. That is our look, how the Bible says, speaks about him. Now we if we skip the Bible, we are in the first centuries AD. After the New Testament was written, we can notice that later there were early heresies that did not believe that Christ was really crucified. There's the Basilidians that believed that someone else was substituted for him. And then the Docetists sect believed that Jesus only seems to have a real human nature. Now, even their name, the Docetism, from the word, from the Greek dokein, to be seem or apparition, that someone else took his place. And now this idea does exist. And that's why we will understand its reference in the Quran. But to see that at least two heresies already in the early first centuries held that Jesus only seems to have been crucified, and no, not yet, please. And that that sometimes I think doesn't have a human nature, or not a real body. That crucifixion was not available because he was not really human, flesh and blood. Now, in the Quran, the crucifixion issue is presented in a unique way, as you will see, which will be discussed in the light of the following two Quranic passages. Now, please, let's go to the first Quranic passage. Yeah. Now, when we look to the first Quranic passage, and um, I want to explain something that when I said about the snapshot of the Quran, a snapshot of of Jesus' life. Now I'm going to read from Surah 3, the third chapter. It's called the House of Omran. Omran is supposedly to be the father of Mary, but they mixed up with the Mary, the Mary, the mother of Jesus, and the 1,300 years gap between the Imran house of Moses, Aaron, and Mary is in a way neglected or not known. Maybe we don't know exactly why it was used like this. But I wanted to emphasize before reading verses that I mentioned that I noticed there that I'm reading from verse 52 to 54. Now, to understand the snapshot thing is that if we go to the Quran, just 10 verses back, starting from I guess 42, you will have the uh, um, the story of John the Baptist, the story of Mary's pregnancy, the story of just mentioning that, the story of Mary staying in the temple, the story of Mary bearing Jesus as a child, Jesus doing miracle in his youth and his early days, and then doing other miracles at the age of 12 or something like this, the known apocryphal miracle of making clay birds and making them fly. And then again about speech, the speech of Jesus, something that he said, and then the crucifixion of Jesus. Now, try to comprehend this. What I said, that it's in 10 verses, all of Jesus' life is portrayed as said and snapshots. It's just like this, one, and you can't understand it very well in Arabic. So whenever it is really translated into other languages, it's much more hard to understand, considering also the archaic Arabic and neglecting the chronological line. But without getting any further delayed, we'll just get to the theme itself, and then we will get to the questions later. Now, the first part, the Surah 3, I will just read and explain what it says. Now, speaking about the Jews, the Jews are against Jesus, according to the Quran, and Jesus sensed their disbelief, and he said, who are my supporters toward God? Who would defend me? Who would support me? And the disciples, in brackets, just like this, jump and say, we are God's supporters. We believe in God and bear witness that we are submitters, our Lord. We have believed in what you have sent down, and we have followed the messenger. Count us among the witnesses. And then there's another snapshot. The Jews come again and they say they plotted and schemed, and so did God. God schemed also, and God is the best schemer. So uh, you can't understand it very well, but like Jesus in his last days, he was looking for someone to support him. The Jews were against him. The Jews were confronting him, were against him, and God even was against him. against them. Of the next one, yes. And thus God says, oh Jesus, I'm terminating your life. Now God gets to the idea that people are pressing Jesus and they want to kill him, they want to hurt him. And he says, oh Jesus, I'm terminating your life, raising you to me and ridding you of the disbelievers. I will exalt those who follow you above those who disbelieve till the day of resurrection. God intervenes here and he says, I will do something and I will skip you from death. I will uh, stop your life in my way. And what the Muslim understand from this, that terminating their life on earth by raising you to me, to heaven. So that's the first look that you would say, okay, now I understand that they are trying to get Jesus out of the crucifixion procedure. Now it gets to the end, and then to me is the ultimate destiny for of all of you, God speaking. Then I will judge among you regarding your disputes. As for those who disbelieve, I will commit them to painful restoration, retribution in this world and the hereafter. They will have no helpers. Now God is threatening who on the one hand he is helping Jesus and saving, rescuing him, and he says that he would not just threaten but also judge the people who were against Jesus now and the other. Please, let's move to the next passage. The next passage is Surah 4. It's called the women, and it speaks about also again about Jesus, and here is the one um, very not clear message, but the basis that gets the Muslim actually believe that Jesus was not crucified. And for claiming that they, again the Jews, they killed the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, the messenger of God. In fact, they never killed him, never crucified him. They were made to think that they did. Again, in this verse, it says that they did not kill him. They thought they did. Uh, and it goes again that speaking about that situation, all factions were all who are disputing the and this matter are full of doubt concerning this issue, and they possess no knowledge. They only conjecture. For center, they never killed him. Here's the basis. Instead, God raised him to him. God is almighty, most wise. Everyone among the people of the scriptures was required to believe in him before his death. That's about Jesus. On the day of resurrection, he will be a witness, Jesus again, against them, against these people who did not believe in him while he was. This is another issue, but I will not touch if there would be no questions about it, because I want to speak more of the rejection of the crucifixion itself. But now we say they did not kill him. And another, I would say, vague understanding of a vague verse that saying that they never killed him, they never crucified him. They were made to think. It had a lot of explanations, but actually the main line of Muslim interpretation was that did not he was not actually crucified, and someone else replaced him. and we will later speak about what does that really mean for Islamic understanding, for Islamic theology. Please, next one, please, Gwen. Now, again, when we speak about the, before we discuss it, we just want to finish all that's the third short passage. We say that Jesus' death is clearly referenced in the Quran and a personal testimony. Jesus says or claims to say a verse that is said also almost the same one said about John the Baptist. And peace be about me. The only difference between that and the John the Baptist that and John the Baptist condition was says peace about him. But about Jesus it says peace be upon me the day I was born, the day I die, and the day I get resurrected. Now he speaks about Jesus' death. That's in Surah 19. Surah 19 is the first layer, to be earlier, but this one, the scholar says it might be just the end of that era, just before the emigration to Medina. So it's not very early, because actually Jesus is not fully mentioned until the second era, the second stage, especially with the titles like Christ. That is very clear, and the second stage. Now, and we see here that there's Jesus' death is mentioned, but on the other hand, the picture in the later layer of the Quran is more complex, as the Jews, as we read, admit they had slain Jesus, but his death is described as an illusion. And from the parallel, one might conclude that while the murderous plan was being devised, God intervenes and raised him to heaven. Now, the central question here is whether Jesus truly died or was taken to heaven before he died. Now, in our Christian look, because the Muslim, almost all the Muslim interpreters agree that there was no crucifixion for Jesus, and that Jesus was taken in heaven without dying here upon earth. That's again, I'll say the central question is whether Jesus truly died or was taken to heaven before he died. And we read that God says to Jesus, "I'm terminating your life." And the word there used in Arabic, I prefer to Arabic because the English translation can be misleading sometimes for in different issues, and sometimes they interpret Arabic according to the Quran, which is a disaster. But Arabic dictionary is Arabic dictionary. It's, we don't have to push the Quran to speak of one word because we know what it means. And here the example, the clear example, the word is for terminating your life is in Arabic one word, mutawaffika. Mutawaffika appears in the Quran more than 20 times in various conjugation. But whenever it's referring to individuals, it's always unequivocally means death. And here I write examples that you can check in Surah 39, Surah 2, and different, so Surah 3, etc. So means death. It means actual death, not taking you, not moving you, actually death. Please, next one, please. Next one, please. Yeah. Uh, again, we are focusing on the text. Moreover, the word order, they never killed him, they never crucified him, apparently connected with the manner in which the Oriental nation handled their enemies, first executing them and then hanging them. In a different manner, the Roman method was execution by crucifixion. It's impossible that the order of Jesus' execution and the following Babylonian Talmud passage, stoning and then hanging, also, it is possible that this one also influenced the Quran wording. Let's see that passage, very known passage, Talmudic passage, compiled the 5th century, so still before the Quran. I'm reading now in Babylonian Talmud, tractate Sanhedrin, 34, page 8. On the eve of the Passover, they hang Yeshu, the word, the misused word for Yeshua in Talmudic Hebrew and Talmudic text, it's Yeshu. And they hanged Yeshua the Nazarene, and the crier went forth for 40 days before hand, declaring that Yeshua the Nazarene is going to be stoned for practicing witchcraft, for enticing, for leading Israel astray. This one, this was the two main accusation: enticing and leading Israel astray, or through the Talmudic text. Anyone, the crier was saying, anyone who knows something to clear him, to escape death, come forth and exonerate him. But no one had anything exonerating him, and they hanged him on the eve of Passover. Now, this is not very historical document, but you can see Jesus, you can see the eve of the Passover, they see the hanging, and it's a witness of this hatred person that we don't like, and it's quite a good testimony, because as we say, always what the enemy says about us is usually reliable more than what we say about each other. So this is the enemies speaking about Jesus. Next, please. Now we got to all the passages. We mentioned the Muslim passages. We referred to the Christian apocryphal and other ways also. The Christian apocryphal understanding of seemingly crucifixion, and of course, as we just mentioned, the Jewish one, the Talmudic one, all of them prior to Islam. And here we ask this question: is it crucifixion or ascent to heaven? Now it's important to note also the synoptic gospels description of the confusion of the internal deliberation of the apostles on the resurrection of Jesus, as some were amazed and others thought that the resurrection as nonsense, and even the 11 disciples were among those who did not believe until Jesus revealed himself to them. So it was a fact that that their Lord and Master was going to be killed and then resurrected, and uh, they doubted. They thought different thoughts, and they were hesitant, and the ladies say this, and the men said that, and all the big fuss was around. So the Gospels clearly speak of this hesitant of the people not knowing what's happening, or what was going to happen before and after the crucifixion, as we might know. Where is this question? Is it possible that the Christian version of the Ascension narrative also contributed to the Quran's complexity? Might be. Even this, that they didn't have maybe the whole Christian scriptures, but they heard about that, about the confusion, about the questions that the early Christians, even the apostles, raised about that. And maybe it contributed to the Quran's complexity and the confusion regarding the events and Jesus' final days. Now, already mentioned that the Quran lays the responsibility of the death of Jesus on the Jews, and it's followed by series of accusations leveled against them, and they finally admit that they executed him. However, according to the Quranic claim, Jesus was not the one crucified. Although the Jews thought it was him, as we read in the Quranic text, but it appears so unto them. In Arabic, it's what shubbiha lahum, appears to them. They thought it was him. According to the different witnesses that we are having, we will be getting to the final conclusion to understand more or to inquire more about this complicated matter. Okay, now the Quranic teaching is that Christ was not crucified nor killed by the Jews, notwithstanding certain apparent circumstances which produced that illusion in the minds of the enemies. For certain, they never killed him. Instead, God raised him to him. Based on that, as a generally accepted Islamic view, that Jesus did not die physically. Someone else with the appearance of Jesus was crucified, and that's fully described, so much described in the later Islamic texts and expositions. Someone else was put upon him the appearance of Jesus, and that one who was crucified was Jesus himself, was raised up alive to him. And that also explained that God is in that situation, and he made it like made someone like Jesus to make Jesus skip crucifixion. So that's what we understand about scheming, that they made the plan and wanted to kill him, and God made another plan, and he rescued Jesus from their hands. On the one hand, as conclusion, on one hand, the influence of Christian dogma is evident, that the Quran agrees with the actuality of the crucifixion event. It happened. They cannot deny it, because it was people of the book. What they say? They say yes, it happened. Jews say we killed him, and Christian says even at that time, a 7th century, Christian says yes, he was crucified by the Jews. But on the other hand, if Jesus was not the crucified one, that's very important, then the Muslim rejection of Jesus' vicarious atonement for sins will fit well. Now, as the Jews played with that word that I mentioned, the Yeshu, taking the ayin from the Yeshua, taking away the salvation. He was called Yeshua, Jesus, that he would save his people from their sins. Now, when you say Yeshu, there is no understanding. It's a word that does not exist in Hebrew. It's not a word that can be understood in Hebrew. So this man meant nothing. He cannot be a savior. He cannot be Yeshua. He's just Yeshu. Coming back to the Muslim rejection, if Jesus was so good, he is a very good prophet. He is very good, similar to Muhammad, similar to the other prophets. He is a renowned prophet, one of the 5 that we really admire, but he was never crucified as an atonement for our sin. Because if he was, then the whole picture would be changing. Then he is the one who has no sin, and he would be an atonement for our sin, including Muhammad's sin. Then he would be greater than Muhammad. Then actually, in brackets, there's no need for Muhammad, because this one is the atonement, who is greater than the atoning work of Christ. Then nothing, they cannot deny it. But denying the whole work, the whole crucifixion, actually, wow, it just gets them a relief. That's good. He's a prophet. He is a good prophet. We admire him. We like him. But he is not an atonement, because he is not God incarnated. He makes a lot. He made a lot of miracles, but always under the supremacy of God, under the guiding hand of God, and how God shows him what to do everywhere. And then when Jesus comes to this point, the point of the end of his life, then there's no there's a kind of no heroic ending, no Christian ending, no atoning ending. This is just a rescue by God for him against the Jews, because God really loved him and cares for him, and God was against the Jews as they were against Jesus, and simply he did rescue him. And when he rescued him, actually, in this way, he rescued all the Muslim believing from Jesus as the last prophet, the last fool, the last God's prophet. Then there is an opening for a last one, which is Muhammad, that would say and make, and then in the later Islamic literature, they would make or invent even so many words for him. That's called the hadith, the saying, 6 collections of several books each that speaks about what Muhammad says. And then they even invented few miracles that Muhammad did. And then seemingly Muhammad is the last and the greater prophet ever, with respect to Jesus, with respect to the understanding of that Jesus came on that time for a specific reason, and he is in heaven. I guess according to them, he's in the second heaven, and he would come at the later days, and he would be against the Antichrist, but he is not the atonement, and that is the main thing. And thank you for asking for this theme on the crucifixion, because this actually explains the whole Islamic aspect of Jesus in the Muslim perspective.
Thank you for joining with us for this lecture. For more information about future lectures, please visit our website www.iefinternational.com or contact us directly via our email address info@iefinternational.com. We hope that you have been blessed by what has been shared, and we look forward to connecting with you in the future.